Hello everybody, today my video topic is 5 things to know about Chino Valley, Arizona. So if you've ever seen Chino Valley on the map, seen homes come up for sale listed in Chino Valley, or have just thought maybe you'd want to live there someday, stay tuned because I'm going to tell you about 5 things you'd want to know if you're thinking about moving to Chino Valley, Arizona. The channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I post videos every single week about living in the northern half of the state of Arizona. If you're interested in learning about this type of information, please consider subscribing because every single week I put out a brand new video about living in the northern half of the state of Arizona. My name is Dawn Dickinson. I am a realtor in northern Arizona. I live in beautiful Sedona and I sell real estate in Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff area, and Prescott area. So if you ever have a question about real estate, my contact information is always in the description below, where you can give me a call, text, email, or you could go to my website and schedule a 30-minute Zoom call and I can answer all your questions about buying or selling a home in northern Arizona. Okay, so let's get started talking about Chino Valley, Arizona. And the very first thing I want to talk about is, where is Chino Valley, Arizona? Well, I'm going to put up a map right here so you can kind of get an idea. But say you're coming in from Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. Chino Valley is in the northern part of the state. It's about 2/3 of the way north of the state of Arizona, and you would take the Interstate 17 driving north out of town, and you would either take the 69 exit or the 169, actually depending on what direction you're coming from. If you're coming from Phoenix, you're going to take the 69. If you're coming from Flagstaff, you'll probably take the 169 and you'll head towards the west. Now, Chino Valley is almost directly west of Cottonwood, Clarkdale, but you can't get to it so easy from Cottonwood because there's a mountain range in between, and you would most likely go back to Interstate 17 and go around to the 169 exit or the 69, head kind of northwest and eventually pick up with the 89 and head north, and there you get Chino Valley. It's about maybe 20 to 30 minutes north of Prescott Valley, and it's kind of a small town, and I'm going to give you a little bit more about that. But just know that Chino Valley is between the Bradshaw Mountains on the south and Mingus Mountain Range on the north, so kind of a north central part of the state of Arizona. So number 2 we're going to talk about is the weather and geography. So Chino Valley is actually at a 4708 elevation, so 4,700 foot above sea level, so that gives it a pretty nice temperate climate. You get about 16 inches of rain every year and about 12 inches of snow. Now this year, 2022, we're in the early spring. We have had a lot of precipitation in northern Arizona. You would think we were going to break the drought, but no, apparently we're not there. But we have had record snowfall and rainfall, it seems like, up here, and so it's been a very wet year, but typically on average you get about 16 inches of rain. And in the summertime, your average high in July might be in the low 90s, like 91 degrees, and in the wintertime, January, your low could be in the high 20s, like 28 to 32 degrees. So climate actually is pretty nice climate, and that's because we're at 4,700 foot above sea level elevation. Now, I do hear it's windy in Chino Valley quite a bit, but then to me that doesn't seem that windy because a lot of the northern half of Arizona is windy, and some areas more than others, but if you don't like wind, you might not like Chino Valley. Okay, third thing to tell you about when it comes to Chino Valley is the type of homes that you'll find for sale, type of homes that you might be living in. And before I get into the homes for sale, I want to let you know that I don't really do rentals. Actually, don't do rentals at all, but I did check the MLS before I recorded the video and saw that there are only 5 on the MLS listed for rent, and the prices range from $1,700 to about $3,300 a month. Now, the MLS is going to show very small amount of rentals for sale, and that's why you need to go to a property manager if you're interested in rentals, because we're going to have way more. Only a very tiny subset of rentals are listed on the MLS, but that'll give you an idea. Rent would probably range from about $1,700 to $3,500 for rentals, but I don't do those, so I can't give you much more than that. So when it comes to homes for sale, you're going to have a lot of ranch style homes, a lot of homes on acreage, multi-acreage, and that's one thing that attracts people to Chino Valley, is you can buy a nice nice ranch style home on 1 acre, 2 acres, and have farm animals, that type of things. One thing to know though is a lot of the homes are on private wells, or some of them might even be on a water haul, water delivery service. So if you're afraid of wells or water haul, there are a lot of homes on private wells. So usually if I am selling a home on a private well, I will recommend you have a well inspection where they will test out the functionality of the pump and all the physical components of the well, and they will also, for an additional fee if you want, they will test the water coming out of the well as well. And I do know of a well inspection company in Chino Valley. I sold one there last fall, so they did a very good job. Another thing to know is that there will be some homes that are on flood zones, and with the recent rain that we've had in Yavapai County, you might have heard that we had a lot of areas that flooded out. I did not hear of any evacuations going on in Chino. I did hear of evacuations here in Sedona and in Camp Verde. That doesn't mean we didn't have any flooding with this storm system, but that's just something to look into. If you see a home for sale and you're curious about it, always check the flood zone status from FEMA, and I can look that up for you on the tax record if you ever saw anything you were interested in. So that's just something to know. There will be some areas that are in flood zones. The average list price right now for homes in Chino Valley is $509,000, but the average sale price is actually $390,000. So again, a little bit of a difference between the list price and the sales price, and also realize that the sales price is older data. When I say older, you know, it's closed data, and the average list price is stuff that's actively on the market right now. And right now in Chino Valley, there are only 79 active listings. Of course, that changes daily. I looked that up a few days ago, and this is March 2023. So those sales prices and the number of homes active are going to change, but they're probably going to be a similar amount of homes for sale in the market. And right now, yeah, about a $500,000 list price on homes for sale in Chino Valley. A lot of them ranch style, and a lot of them you could have animals, horses, and those types of livestock if you're interested in doing that. Okay, number 4 thing I'm going to tell you about Chino Valley. Let's talk about the residents. Right now, Chino Valley has a population of 12,854, so just over 12,000 residents in Chino. So it is a very small rural town, very small town. Again, it's about 20-30 minutes away from Prescott Valley, which is also considered a small town. So just a very rural community in the northern half of Arizona. The median age is 51. And the cost of living index is 113. So cost of living index, I talk about that a lot. I have a site on the web where they will rate different communities in the United States, and the average across all the United States is 100. So Chino Valley at 113 means it's 13% higher than the average cost of living in the United States, which actually for Arizona is pretty good. So 113 cost of living. Now there is a site I go to look at crime statistics, school statistics, and there's not a lot of data for Chino Valley, but it is putting crime statistics at a C+. So to me, C+, I was hoping it would be a little bit better than that, but it's saying it's about average nationally on crime, and schools were rated at about a B, so slightly above average, not great schools. And then when I did see reviews, some of them mentioned that the schools weren't good, so even though niche.com rates it as a B, I did see some complaints about the school system and some complaints about crime, which I'll get into in my section 5 where I talk about reviews. Let's talk about that next. And that brings me to my number 5 thing to tell you about Chino Valley is reviews. So some of the websites that I use to pull data on these towns that I'm always talking about would be niche.com and bestplaces.net. And these 2 websites allow people who have lived in towns to go in and write little reviews for the town. So I just thought I would show you or read to you some of the reviews that I saw on the town. Not going to read to you, but I'm going to kind of give you the gist of what they said. 1 or 2 people mentioned that there were a terrible lack of jobs in Chino Valley. In fact, in one of my videos, I had somebody comment that Chino Valley was terrible for jobs and they couldn't get a job. Now, to me, this shouldn't be surprising. You have a very small town in a very rural community, and since the history of the United States, those types of communities have been hard to get jobs. So unless you're telecommuting or you want to work at the local grocery store or hardware store, there's probably not going to be a lot of jobs in a very small town like that. So, but just know that going into it, that if you're just moving blindly into Arizona and you're just going to land in Chino Valley and think you're going to get a great job, it's probably not going to happen because reviews on the jobs have been very poor. So another review I saw said that there was a lot of crime on the east side of town, and others talked about too many cops, that cops just sit around all day, you know, chasing people around. And but other people commented that no, really, they did the proportion of the number of cops per resident, and it was actually right in line with a lot of the average cities in the United States. And I think they were saying there were 30 cops for a small town like that. So I couldn't tell you if that's the exact number, but again, some people say too much crime, some people say too many cops, so I'm not sure which it is. So that is what I'm seeing. So another review, actually more than one review, said there were too many conservatives, too many Republicans, and they didn't like conservatives and Republicans. So I do see this a lot in some of these small town reviews, but I want to point out that Yavapai County, it's a big geographic county here in Arizona. Yavapai County is 2/3 registered Republicans. So in general, if you don't like being next to conservatives, probably you don't want to be in this part of the state. You probably want to go to someplace like Tucson if you just can't handle living next to conservatives. Now, my mindset on this is I don't know why we can't all live peacefully together, conservatives and liberals, but if you have a problem living next to conservatives, Chino Valley probably isn't your place. Yavapai County probably isn't your place, and probably you want to look in Tucson because that's more of a liberal town. And that doesn't mean that you couldn't have, you know, find a great house and you've got a Joe Biden flag hanging in the yard next to you and that makes you happy, but in 6 months that house could sell and then a conservative could move in. So I want to say you probably shouldn't be so hung up on too many conservatives, and if you are hung up about that, definitely gonna avoid Chino Valley and Yavapai County. So I'm trying not to give you a lecture, but it just sometimes makes me upset when I have people calling me and they're ragging on one party or the other, and I just think, you know, remember what Reginald Denny said back in the 90s, why can't we just all get along? So that, I'm only bringing that up because it was on one of the reviews, too many conservatives. So just be mindful that could happen. So other reviews have said how great it was because it was a small town, it was laid back, people were friendly, you got to know your neighbors. Another person said, oh, if you want to know anything, you just go to the barber shop and you can find out all the goings on of the town. So other people were saying it was great because there's outdoor stuff to do. There's places that you can take long walks. You can have a very dog friendly. It said it's great to take your dogs, or a great place to have pets, but a lot of people really liked the small town vibe, and they said it was a very typical small town vibe of people being friendly, your neighbors looking out for each other and helping you out. So it's kind of funny because you have these two polarizing things. You'll have the small town vibe that people will be saying, oh, there's nothing to do, it's boring because it's a small town, and then on the other hand, people will be saying it's great because it's a small town, we will need to get back to the small town, people looking out for each other. So it's a small town though, just keep that in mind. Small towns, you can have lack of jobs, you are gonna have too many conservatives according to some people, and a very laid-back community, and not a whole lot of nightlife. Probably no nightlife. I don't know that. I've not been there at night. I usually go during the day and only to show property. So, but to me, I always thought it was a cute little town. Oh, another review said that Safeway was the only grocery store for Chino and for Paulden. So you're stuck with Safeway. I do see Safeway in a lot of small towns, so that's not too surprising. But if you want a variety Valley. Of course, the other thing is that if you want to do a lot of shopping, Prescott Valley in Prescott is not that far. Prescott Valley, 20 to 30 minutes away. And there's lots of stuff to do, lots of shopping, lots of places to eat in Prescott Valley. So keep that in mind. So I hope you enjoyed the video. My name's Dawn Dickinson, the channel living in northern Arizona. I do videos about Arizona towns in the northern half of the state every single week, or issues pertaining to living in northern Arizona. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. I would love it if you would subscribe, and certainly give me a call, text, email if you're considering moving, buying, or selling in the northern half of Arizona: Sedona, Cottonwood, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, Prescott Valley. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.